Table or truth?
All right, so the third item,
Okay.
homework,
Yes.
was on the Russia investigation.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And that's not including the Nord Stream pipeline that I've been hearing more about.
We can discuss that too.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
You need to go?
No, I don't need to go.
Oh,
I almost wanted to offer a drink or something, like a little intermission.
If you
all right. Well, just hang tight. You can always fast forward this. No big. That's the beauty of modern technology. I can either press pause on this thing or just come back and then when you edit it, you just clip that.
No, you can push pause.
All right. I'm not even going to do it because that's the beauty of Blender software.
Right? No, but then you got to find that space.
Well, that would mean that I'm actually like paying attention to our conversation and making sure it's like somewhat.
I believe in you as a producer.
Pull a little George Lucas THX digitally master this podcast episode for the enjoyment of our viewership or our audio ship, I should say. You sure you don't want anything like Fruit Loops?
Nope, I'm good.
Quesadilla?
Nope.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right.
These wraps you brought are perfect.
Excellent.
This is exactly what I need.
Healthy too.
Yeah, it feels healthy. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It's great. It's like powering me up. So, okay, the next topic, please, good sir.
Okay, we talked about the Russian investigation.
Yes,
and so Trump and his
was it Russian collusion a hoax or hyperbolized, or was it not? That's the question.
Again, it goes into this whole thing with Russian collusion. I said it back in 2016. Mm-hmm. I said it every year afterwards, and I say it today.
Okay.
Collusion is not illegal. So BS about stating, there was no Russian collusion. Collusion's not a crime. I don't care about collusion.
So why did it make the news?
Because Trump and his supporters kept saying Russia collusion is a hoax. And so, particularly back in 2016, everything...
You just said you don't care.
I don't care about that. However, what I do care is about Russian interference in a presidential election, which is illegal.
Okay.
And so the question is...
Did you find out that Trump colluded with Russia, though? I'm just messing with you.
Oh, sorry. You know me. I do have a sense of humor. This doesn't come out.
My bad.
The question is was there foreign interference in the U.S. Election in 2016? The answer is yes. Now, is foreign interference in the U.S. election a crime? And the answer to that is yes. And it's covered by 31 CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 579, which is foreign interference in U.S. election sanction regulations. So that's what makes it a crime.
But it wasn't necessarily Trump's fault that Russia manipulated, I guess, Facebook posts and stuff like that?
Well, no. However,
to get people to be more open-minded and want to vote for him, I mean.
Well, they went all over the place. There was different combinations that
I guess that's just good psyops.
Russians, psyops used.
Yeah.
They would go into some chat rooms and play both sides. Other chat rooms, they would play one side just to get chaos going.
It sounds kind of like what the media does in terms of social mores about race, gender, and all sorts of identity politics in this country. But that's another story for another time.
No. You just say, no. Did you leave out the mainstream? You're supposed to be
saying I think I mentioned the mainstream media.
Okay.
I could be wrong, of course. But
all right. So since Special Counsel Robert Mueller was appointed in May 2017, he racked up a lengthy record of court wins and gotten guilty pleas from 34 people.
Wait a minute, you say that again? Indicted, convicted?
Yes, he indicted or he convicted, or there were others who pled guilty. There was 34 people. do his investigation, including 3 companies, including top advisors to President Trump, Russian spies and hackers with ties to the Kremlin. So the Mueller report, which came out, and before it was released by Barr, Barr tainted the results and held it for at least a month before it was released. So there were some problems with that.
You look fascinated by the on-off switch button on the power strip. Sorry. Yeah, keep going.
All right. So the question is, and I looked at this in 2016.
Yep.
It was the Trump campaign. Were there Trump campaign members who had conversations, met with Russian operatives?
Okay.
And the answer is yes.
Okay, that's fair.
And so,
if it's evidence,
again,
can you send us the links so people can look at these?
Well, it's open source. I went
all right.
through,
Okay. No,
and so what I'll do is mention the people and just the priority names of what the former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort.
Okay.
He attended in June 2016 a meeting at Trump Tower with a group of Russians who said they had dirt on Hillary Clinton. Now, this was a famous one because they met in Trump Tower.
Yep.
And Don Jr. and Jared Kushner both were there.
No.
And so the question is, why would you be meeting with Russia, who said that they had dirt on Hillary Clinton?
Now, in all fairness to Trump,
in Trump Tower.
In all fairness to Trump, pull a Biden and say he had no knowledge of these activities involving his son.
He could have.
Okay, but we don't know.
No. What we do know is that he was upstairs in his office.
So Rachel Maddow, for 3 or plus years, was never able to get to the expose piece on this and prove without a doubt that Trump directly had knowledge of this entire thing going on.
Why are you bringing up Rachel?
Because she was the one. She was like the equivalent of Kamala Harris being the border czar to the border and trying to take care of business there, right? This is an SAT question. Kamala Harris is the border czar to the border. Is Rachel Maddow is the trying to catch Trump in a goof so we can indict him. Although, I guess that's not a good analogy because Kamala Harris did a terrible job in the border. So we could argue that would make Rachel Maddow look bad. But then again, she kind of did look bad because she could never prove that Trump really did collude with Russia directly. Right?
Again, I don't... Really? Who would you call standing on stage and ask Russia to go out and find the 30,000 emails that...
Well, they're free to research as they want. I don't know if that's a crime. How is that a crime, though?
I didn't say it was a crime. You keep bringing up collusion.
Okay, so it's not a crime. Okay, so then it's not really a... Okay, so
what I'm
shady
talking about is
politics.
Foreign interference in a U.S. election. That is a crime.
Okay. All right, but
let me continue because all right. So you also had we all know about former National Security Advisor for a hot second, Michael Flynn, who exchanged phone calls and text messages with Russian Ambassador Kislyak during the Trump transition, and he lied about it to the FBI. So Flynn pled guilty twice to lying to the FBI about the conversations, and of course he was pardoned by Trump. Paul Manafort received a sentence of 7.5 years, and he was pardoned by Trump. We have George Papadopoulos.
You know what I love about that guy's name? He reminds me of Webster's father in the old show Webster.
Why is that?
Remember Mr. Papadopoulos or whatever?
Oh.
He was like Webster's adopted dad.
Oh, okay.
But whatever. Not as good as Mr. Belvedere, but all right, anyway, sorry.
So he was Trump's campaign advisor who met a few times with a Kremlin-connected professor and a Russian woman who falsely claimed to be Putin's niece. And so he was also sentenced to, I think it was less than a year.
Okay.
Actually, he served 12 days in prison for lying to investigators. Now, what makes Papadopoulos interesting was he was the person who told the Australian diplomat in a bar that the Russians might have damaging information on Clinton. And that diplomat passed it on to the FBI, which started the investigation into Russian interference, which, again, bloomed into the Mueller
All right, so
investigation.
some shade on both sides. Okay, that's fair.
Okay. And then we don't forget former Attorney General Jeff Sessions. He had 2 meetings with the Russian ambassador during the campaign in 2016, and he recused himself during the Mueller investigation. Why? Because he could have been a witness, and he actually had meetings with the Russian ambassador during the campaign. So what did that mean? So Sessions could not do Trump's bidding and interfere with the investigation. So Trump fired him and installed William Barr. You remember that?
Bill Barr, yeah. Not
Yes.
Bill Burr, Bill Barr.
Right. And so also former Trump campaign advisor Roger Stone met with a Russian man in May of 2016 who called himself Greenberg and offered dirt on Clinton for $2 million.
By the way, where this article? Where's this from?
Well, this is different research I put together.
Okay, no, legit, man. I'm gonna give you credit. You've been paying your dues doing research. I actually think people could learn something from this.
Oh, okay. Well, it's open. So this was open at the time.
Yeah, no, that's fair. There is a good scales of justice here. So we're trying to weigh who's got more dirt. Right?
Okay. So the whole thing is that, and again, Stone was convicted of lying to Congress, tampering with a witness, and obstructing a congressional investigation into Russian interference, right?
Yep.
So if we look at it, all these people, and I just named a few, right?
Yep.
Manafort.
Stone.
Mike Flynn, George Papadopoulos, they all were pardoned by President Trump before he left office.
And to be fair, if you wanted to be really impartial, and people are going to be surprised I'm saying this because it's no, I don't think it's really like a surprise. I tend to steer a little bit more on the conservative side of politics, but I don't think it would have been if these guys literally did. Well, apparently, yeah. If Trump pardoned, that means that there was crimes done. I think it's not a good image on Trump's part to, as much as he wants to help out his friends or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, man, that's a tough one, but I don't disagree. Like that's not a good image on his part because it shows an unbiased favoritism towards either like fans, cronies, sycophants, whatever you want to call them, helpers, aides, minions, sub bosses, end guys, foot soldiers, mercenaries, secret help. I'm sorry. I could keep going. I apologize. Yeah, that doesn't look good. I agree. That's the bottom line.
So can you imagine what the right would have said if Hillary Clinton advisors, campaign people in 2016 had gone to the CCP and met with CCP officials and talked about this? As a matter of fact, Manafort, which I knew this back at the time, was again he was running the campaign, and he was meeting with a gentleman called Konstantin Kalimnik.
Cool name.
Who was, and that's how I can remember his name, who was a Russian intelligence officer, or he had ties with Russian intelligence. And so what Manafort was doing, he was giving a proprietary voting data to Kalimnik. Why would you give the Russians this type of data? Well, the speculation is that, this looked at areas where they needed help. In the countries, whether small towns, cities, whatever, and where Russian hackers, bots can concentrate and get the message out against Hillary Clinton.
That's yeah. I mean, I think if you want to keep your hands clean, and I don't know if there's a human that could do this. Now that if I'm going to be honest, like brutally honest, but the less hypocrisy you display on your team, if you want to call it a team, the more noble I think you appear to the masses that are just being honest, like about wanting to solve the world's problems. Otherwise, all we're doing is just playing freaking volleyball back and forth and, just getting a quick dopamine kick whenever our team scores a point. This is the most sobering thing I've ever said in these podcasts. Like, I don't see any other solution but, like, really going into the philosophical conundrum that work here. On both ends, you have some truths that are actually functional, that could really like help humanity. I think both like the left and the right has some ideas that are actually very functional and noble. I think the real issue is that because human nature being what it is, you're going to have individuals that will follow a particular side of thinking, take it to the extreme, but be too lazy to actually look at the practicality of different views of how reality works, which would be the other side, if that makes sense, right? So, because people are too lazy, not everybody, but if a lot of people are too lazy to actually look at some of the realistic points or arguments made from the other side and go, I don't care, I'm never going to agree with the Democrats, or I'm never going to agree with the Republicans, right? But you can't actually come in the middle and compromise, which is less thrilling, it's less exciting, but at the end of the day, it's the more mature thing to do. We're never going to really solve our problems as a civilization. I almost feel like we need like some sort of trumpet music in the background. But the real litmus test to see, if your side's full of shit, excuse my language, is how much hypocrisy you seem to radiate on your side. You're going to radiate probably some. Just think of it like when you're calculating a measurement in science. There's going to be a room for a percent error, right? So let's just assume you're never going to find a perfect individual, a perfect ideology, a perfect circumstance, or a perfect political party, because it's virtually physically impossible. No more than getting perfect measurements in physics and science and chemistry and measurement. There's always a little bit of room for percent error, as long as it's not a huge percent error. Assume that percent error is hypocrisy itself. You're going to find some hypocrisy coming from the other side because they're trying to cover their asses, from some flaws that they did. I think if we understand that about humanity, life makes more sense in terms of politics or just anything. The question is...
You look at humanity. I don't look at politics as being humanity.
Well, politics deals with trying to improve the wellness of humanity ultimately, or just help a few at the very top, depending on how you look at politics and where you stand in the political ladder. I think the other issue here, ironically, is that I'm hitting the nail on the head. Why do people not necessarily? Why does the common average middle class person have less faith in our current government right now? Well, it seems to be that there's a very small percentage of individuals that run the government and run corporations that have most of the power, the leeway, the political pull, and the power in media to influence people and even monitor the buying power of your currency, that don't seem to care about the average middle class person. And now that people are more self-aware and sense that, and they see the very hypocrisy of the people up top, a perfect example of this is you take one of those freaking summit meetings at Davos. One of those meetings at Davos with the World Economic Forum talking about, save the earth, environmental, like there's all these problems due to pollution and everything. And then they all fly in their own stupid fucking Learjet planes to go to Davos.
They all didn't.
A lot of them did. Okay? And people see the hypocrisy.
No, but there were some who were acutely aware of that.
Okay, you know what? Then we give them props.
Right. No,
now, that's assuming they didn't just do it as a PR stunt. They still had their Learjet that they flew to, after the fucking meeting, they flew down to, like, Key West or something, okay? But this is assuming they, just like everybody else, took not even a train, they took a fucking, listen to me now, right? They took a, yeah.
Yeah, I knew we get you going.
They took a wagon. They went down the Cumberland Gap. Hit the Oregon Trail. It took them a month to get across country.
Why are you bringing up the economic forum when we're having a discussion.
Well, it's all
Because
connected.
I haven't finished
Okay,
my stuff.
I'm just saying it's all connected. Philosophically,
I
the
don't
problem
think
is
it's all-
hypocrisy here. Okay, It's a huge
Hypocrisy, I agree with it all being connected. I do not.
All right.
However, let's get back so
Fine.
I can end this segment here.
Yes.
All right.
Many Bothans died to bring the rebellion information of what is really going on our planet. So if you like the show, please hit a like, share, and subscribe.